while the president's remarks today, of course, are not a campaign speech, he has put preserving and protecting democracy at the center of this race, and he will make clear the stark contrast with Donald Trump. The president evoking the lessons of 80 years ago to highlight what is at stake in this election.
Ah, yes. You know, if it weren't for our news media, well, we'd be a much more sane, rational, friendly country, wouldn't we? Yes, we would. Any school child can tell you. Yeah, this is pretty wild, this story out of TJ Maxx and Marshalls. There used to be a TJ Maxx about a block from this radio station, and I would go there often for all kinds of things. TJ Maxx. I think there's still a Marshalls a couple of blocks from here over on Wisconsin Avenue. Workers. Bolsheviks love that word, workers. I'd say employees. At TJ Maxx and Marshalls are wearing police-like body cameras. Here's how it's going. CNN Business, they're not really in the journalism business at all. And because the Democrats have made crime and theft normal, they've normalized looting and sacking and plundering. You saw in, I believe it was Nashville, Tennessee, where 4 Democrats went into a store and started stealing everything. And the customers walked outside with the employee, and they locked the criminals in. They locked the criminals inside the store. And these 2 men, kind of, able-bodied men, stood outside with their, and they blocked the exit, the front door to the place, so that the criminals were locked inside. Well, they called 911, and they called the police, said, hey, this place is being looted. And these 2 men stood outside and blocked the door, and they used their feet to, wedge their heels, and a couple of pretty big guys standing watch. And the criminals were caught inside. And by the way, the men standing outside, one was black, one was white, and they're like normal people because must not have been Democrats. Now, the criminals inside, they end up smashing their way out the back door and escaping. The police took 30 minutes to get there. Probably Democrats running the place there. But that's kind of fun. But now, hourly retail security workers, employees, are now wearing police-like body cameras at major stores. The retail giants, TJ Maxx and Marshalls and Home Goods, now equipping some store employees with body cameras, just like police body cameras, to thwart shoplifting and keep customers and employees safe. Now, this is what the Democrats have done because they've made looting normal by one person, by a group of people, and employees. The companies are terrified of being sued if they do anything about it, and the left has learned that now. Lululemon is now Loot Lemon, and Louis Vuitton is now Looty Vuitton, because Democrats are so fond of stealing everything from everybody. And then they defund the police so they can't show up in a timely fashion and arrest the criminals. Democrats. And honestly, I'm with Broken Horn. We have to start enforcing the law in the United States again because we're becoming Mad Max beyond Thunderdome. The one-word explanation is Democrats. Democrats. Really, that is the problem. Now let's go to, there's a Democrat at ABC Fake News. His name is David Muir. David Muir. He dresses up like Dondi. He's got a little Dondi flip in his hair. And he did a sit-down with Joe Biden in Normandy. They went to Normandy and sat down with Joe Biden to do an interview to fluff him and try to help him in his campaign. That's what they're doing. And I've got one question for you. They're promoting the rest. They say the rest of the interview, he's attacking Donald Trump and America and Americans and people that aren't looters and carjackers and drug dealers and child sex traffickers, who are all Democrats. All Democrats. So here is Joseph Robinette Biden with his pal, his buddy, his fluffer, designated fluffer of the day, DFOD, the designated fluffer of the day. And this is what he could get.
It's not lost on us where we are today, what these brave young American sons did 80 years ago.
It's not lost.
And we know what we're witnessing in the world right now, the wars, the deep divisions at home. What do you think these American heroes can teach us right now about meeting this moment?
Stand up. Tell the truth.
What?
Serve your country.
Okay.
You know, imagine what they had to come through. I was here 30 years ago, came in on a landing craft.
He landed.
You could see from out there what they saw here. The idea that they got off those boats, they got off those landing crafts. Many of them died sinking in the night. Come across that beach as long as it's just astounding. It's astounding. But what it says to me is how critical alliances are. How critical alliances are for our security.
Yeah, critical alliances are, and like with Israel, our key ally in the Middle East. And he said, did he say that he landed at Normandy? Is that what he said? He's in the. He was there. He was also at Market Garden. He was with the 101st Airborne at Operation Market Garden in Holland. He was everywhere. He's been everywhere, man. Amazing stuff. He said, now he says that he was there 30 years ago. That'd be the 50th anniversary, when he probably should have retired from the Senate back then. 30 years ago would have been much better. But he says that he was there for the 50th anniversary. That's what he's saying. It'll probably turn out to be untrue, like so many other claims that he has made and continues to make. Extraordinary stuff. Yeah, man, I was here 30 years ago when the and now they're keeping the rest a secret because the rest was, let's attack Donald Trump together. And they're going to air that tonight. So make sure to not watch ABC News along with the vast majority of Americans. Yeah, so Joe Biden says, and you always got to look out for this. And I'm sure David Muir was thinking, he's not going to say that he was actually there for the invasion of Normandy 80 years ago, because he was only 1 year old at the time. Isn't that right? And so he probably wasn't there. He might have landed as a 1 year old. Hard to say. Yeah, I was here 30 years ago, and does always remind me of Abe Simpson on The Simpsons. This guy. I'm telling you, it's impossible to not mock him. It's the polite thing to do, too. Later, he said that he was in one of the Nazi machine gun nests up on the cliff on that day, and he was sabotaging them. He makes up a lot of stuff. Now, was he really there for the 50th anniversary? He might have been. Did he really come in on a landing craft for the 50th anniversary when, it was 10 years after Ronald Reagan's Boys of Punta Hoc speech? It's possible because, he's been around for a long time. And if you've been around for a long time and you're a U.S. Senator, which, he was first elected in 1972, I think, right? Isn't that right? I think that's right, 1972. Just amazing. Now, ABC Fake News. They've got a woman there, I assume a woman, named Mary. Sometimes, like J. Edgar Hoover, Mary might be a man. ABC News, Mary Bruce, last night talking about, this morning on Good Morning America, talking about what Joe Biden would be doing there and how he's going to politicize everything no matter the setting.
While the president's remarks today, of course, are not a campaign speech, he has put preserving and protecting democracy at the center of this race, and he will make clear the stark contrast with Donald Trump, the president evoking the lessons of 80 years ago to highlight what is at stake in this election.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. That's a lot of hooey, isn't it? Yes, it is. They're the hooey bunch. These people. Yeah, he's going to politicize it because it's an opportunity to politicize something and to be divisive and polarizing, and naturally they're going to seize that opportunity. What else would they do? Man, oh man. Just amazing. You're a Democrat Party. Also, talking to David Muir, it is now being reported that Joe Biden said that, he knew Vladimir Putin when Putin was a KGB agent in East Germany. That's when he was a Stazi agent, just by the way. But true under the umbrella of the KGB. And it is raising questions now that he said that because, What was a U.S. senator doing palling around with a KGB agent assigned to the Stazi in East Germany? Why? Why, you might say? And if that's true, how far back do his ties to the KGB go? With David Muir on ABC Fake News. Wah, wah, wah. I'm telling you, this world is a wacky place. We got, what's his name? Eric Swalwell having the long-term personal relationship and sexual affair with the Chinese secret agent named Fang Fang, which is more fun than just about anything. If she had not been named Fang Fang, and she's a Chinese honeypot, that's what they call it. That's not a slur. That's actually what they do. So Joe Biden talking to David Muir on ABC News. They're all on the same team. And listen to this story.
Let me ask you about what Vladimir Putin said last night about this authorization of American weapons inside Russia. He said the supply of high-precision weapons to Ukraine for strikes on Russian territory is direct participation in this war. He went on to say that this is the way to serious problems, and again talked about Russia's nuclear capabilities. Does that concern you?
I've known him for over 40 years.
What?
He's concerned me for 40 years.
What?
He's not a decent man. He's a dictator. And he's struggling to make sure he holds this country together.
Sure.
While still keeping this assault going. We're not talking about giving them weapons to strike Moscow, to strike the Kremlin, to strike just across the border where they're receiving significant fire from conventional weapons used by the Russians to go into Ukraine to kill Ukrainians.
Now, wait a minute. Joe Biden said he's known Putin for 40 years. So that's a long time ago. That's 1984. And Joe Biden, again, was elected to the Senate in 1972. And so why, as a fairly junior senator in his second term, was he hanging with Vladimir Putin when Vladimir Putin was not a known senior Russian, then Soviet leader? He was just a KGB killer apparatchik assigned to the brutal Stazi East German secret police. Extraordinary stuff. I'm telling you. That's a thing. My best girl and I were in Dansk, Poland, a couple of years ago, and visited the KGB headquarters there, where the interrogation room for the KGB, where they tortured you, was on the top floor of this fairly tall building, 10 stories. So, and they would interrogate people and then throw them out of the top floor window. And sometimes they'd just uncuff them and leave the window open and lock the door and hope that they'd throw themselves out. And they would, and people would, because the KGB were torturing them, and they'd all laugh and then, drink heavily and have a cigar, because that's what the commies do. That's what the commies are. And Joe Biden was hanging with him 40 years ago. He's known him since. What was Putin doing 40 years ago? I don't think he was hanging out with U.S. senators. What was Joe? How has Joe Biden known Putin for 40 years? And David Muir, crack seven-figure journalist that he is, does not ask what we used to call a follow-up question. Now, wait a minute. That's you just told another story here that's going to get some attention. Chuckles McClown. You just said that you've known Putin for 40 years, since 1984. What the heck? What's up with that? But no, that doesn't happen, because David Muir is there to fluff, to be a fluffer for ABC News and for the Democrat Party. In the Old Testament, the term was Valley of Slaughter. The Valley of Slaughter refers to a location where children were sacrificed in the old days. And here we go again, don't we? How do we stop the madness in the United States of America? Well, Preborn is helping lead the charge in this nation to put an end to this atrocity. Every day, Preborn's network of clinics helps to rescue 200 unborn babies in the United States. Truly amazing. But by the time I'm done reading this message, 2 more unborn babies will have been sacrificed in the Valley of Slaughter. By sponsoring free ultrasounds for women with unplanned pregnancies, a baby's chance at having a nice, long, happy life could be doubled. If you want to help to heal the United States, America, and save precious souls, please give generously to Preborn. $28 could be the difference between life and death. So join the fight by sponsoring 1 ultrasound or 2 or 3 or even 200 ultrasounds if you can. All gifts are tax deductible, of course, so please donate. Grab your cell phone and dial pound 250, and when prompted, the keyword is baby. That's pound 250, the keyword is baby. Or visit online at preborn.com/plant. That's me. Again, that's preborn.com/plant. Or you can dial pound 250 and the keyword is baby. Do good things. Yeah, so Joe Biden and Putin, they're old friends now. 40 years ago, they've known each other for a long time. Joe Biden was only 41 then. How old was Putin? Why was Joe Biden hanging out with Putin 40 years ago? For how long have they been associated? This sounds like Russian collusion to me. I tell you what, we've got lots more yet to get to. But right now, let's go to the telephones and talk to the nice people. Let's go to Catherine calling from Vancouver, Washington, which is near that other Vancouver. Catherine, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. I just want to say today is my birthday, and my dad served in Germany in 45 and 46, and my husband's dad served in the Pacific, and all of my uncles and great uncles all served in the Pacific. And salute to your dad, and God bless them all. And in a weird way, I would just want to say my dad was super excited because I was born on D-Day, and he thought, "Yay, that's really cool! Yay!"
That is really cool.
Thanks. But I wanted to say two things. Is that I, in a weird way, I'm kind of glad that the greatest generation isn't around to see what Obama's evil, satanic, communist, leftist party is doing to this country, and actually what the Davos crowd and everybody is doing to the world. But we have hope in places like Argentina and Italy and other places, Hungary, that are they're waking up to this, and the Netherlands, and they're fighting back against this. And I just wanted to say, on a positive note, is that throughout history, throughout the Revolutionary War, throughout the Civil War, throughout World War I, through World War II.
Real quick, running out the clock.
We lost battles, but we will win the war.
Well, that is a very positive note. Now, I believe it was 2 years ago that thoroughly modern Milley, the then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States military, was at the 2022 D-Day anniversary, and he gave a speech, and we played it at the time, and we mocked it. We ridiculed it because it was so mockable and very embarrassing. Now, the reality is, at Normandy, the invasion of Normandy, there were 6,000 ships and boats, watercraft, landing our troops, British troops, Canadian troops, plus more than 1,000 airplanes dropping in paratroopers and glide planes and so on. Canadian troops, British troops, American troops. It was an extraordinary event. There were 160,000 plus Allied troops, including 73,000 American troops that landed. And we had our top general, thoroughly modern Milley, as our representative 2 years ago on this date for the 2022 anniversary of the Normandy invasion. That would have been 78 years in, right? And this is in the teleprompter. He's got a speech. He's got paper in front of him. It was written out ahead of time. He wasn't winging it. And this is what General Milley said.
Here at the beaches of Normandy 78 years ago, ordinary people from all walks of life came together to serve the cause of liberty. Early in the morning, on 6 June, as the German defenders on these bluffs looked out to sea, they bore witness to the first plumes of black smoke.
What did they see?
As 700 Allied ships disembarked 137 Allied soldiers from several different countries.
137 Allied soldiers. That must have been terrifying for them. There were 137 Allied soldiers and 700 ships. Now, wait a minute. That means each soldier had multiple ships to himself. That's extraordinary. Maybe it was a big diversion campaign. 700 ships. In reality, there were more than 6,000 ships. And, of course, in reality, there were more than 160,000 troops, not 137 troops, not 137 troops. You could fit those on one 737 aircraft, a Boeing aircraft. But, no, that was a heck of a job, Thoroughly Modern Millie. But at least we now have a transgender-friendly military, thanks to Thoroughly Modern Millie. He's retired now. We should take a look. I bet he's making millions and millions from General Dynamics and other arms contractors. And I bet he's got a finger in the pie in Ukraine, too. I would bet $1 that General Milley has some kind of a Ukraine thing going on. What do you think? I'm willing to bet. Yes, sir. Crazy man, crazy. Now, I just found this. It was actually sent to me this morning, as so many things are, and I'm very grateful for that. An interesting video that showed up. I played and it's a lot of fun, 50 Cent, a.k.a. 50 Cent, who was grabbed in front of the Capitol yesterday. He was up on Capitol Hill. He was doing some politicking. He's a rapper. He is a very, very wealthy, very successful rapper. And honestly, seems to be a pretty intelligent guy, and he's a guy who's been shot 9 times. He's been shot 9 times because he spends too much time hanging out with Democrats and stuff. But we played a bit of 50 Cent, but let's listen to 50 Cent again because he's now come out in favor of Donald Trump.
What do you see as the significance of African-American men in this election for both of you?
I see them identifying with Trump.
Why do you say that?
Because they got RICO charges.
Because they got RICO charges. It's a short explanation. It's concise. And he's not an unintelligent guy. He's an intelligent guy. He's well-spoken. He's incredibly successful. And he's a rapper, for what that's worth. So the headline is that 50 Cent says black men are, quote, identifying with Trump, end quote. And that is true, and we see it more and more. And I did mention earlier the extraordinary statistics in the polls where in 2020, Joe Biden had 87% support from black voters, and today that's 33% support from black voters. Again, 87% in 2020, 33% today. That is a drop of 54%. I'll do the math for you so you don't have to. And 54% drop, more than cut in half, black support. And, the party of the Klan and the Confederacy, they really love taking the black vote for granted. I've been pointing some things out for many years on the radio that are all true about Democrats and black people and the history of the Democrat Party. They love to say the history of the United States is racist. Well, that's the history of the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi ordered all the paintings in the Capitol taken down of racists, and every single one of them was a Democrat. Literally every single one of them. Statues had to be removed from the Capitol because Nancy Pelosi ordered it. Because they're racist. Every single one of them was a Democrat. And now, today I had a fun thing sent to me. And honestly, it's Citizen Free Press. Citizen Free Press is a great online organization. They're kind of laying claim to being the new Drudge Report, and that's not far from true. The Drudge Report, the old Drudge Report, is dead to the world. But the Citizen Free Press and Barry Weiss and the whole gang posted a video today of a young woman who's an African-American woman, a very lovely woman, and she posted a video of herself sitting in her car, made a video of herself, and she's talking about the African-American swing away from the Democrat Party. And she's a lot of fun and no nonsense. And she just starts ticking off things like that, because they're saying, well, you can't vote for Donald Trump. The Democrats, he's a convicted felon in a Democrat Party lynch mob in New York, where 34 counts, and they didn't even consider one of the 34 counts to be suspect. No, guilty. It's the court of Torquemada, you know? Hey, Torquemada, what do you say? Just got back from the auto da fe. All right, I'll stop with that now. But this nice young woman with the video posted on Citizen Free Press, and the comment is, you know, the great lawfare, waging lawfare against Donald Trump, has backfired on, and 50 Cent said it. He's with Donald Trump because, they're violating the RICO statutes and all the phony charges against him. And African Americans who have been targeted by Democrats for so long are waking up to the fact that the Democrat Party is a very, very corrupt institution and a racist institution, and always has been. And here's this, and I don't have her name. Her name is not posted here. She perhaps wants to remain anonymous, but it's from Tony. And this nice African-American woman saying, well, you tell me I can't vote for Donald Trump because, if I don't vote for Joe Biden, I'm not black, right? Like Charlemagne, the misspelled God, and all that stuff. But here's this nice woman explaining why she is going to vote for Trump, even though she's black.
The left can praise George Floyd, a 9-time convicted criminal, and build a statue in his name, then I can vote for Donald Trump, the convicted felon. If the left can forgive Bill Clinton for cheating on his wife, then I can vote for Donald Trump, a convicted felon. If the left can forgive Cardi B for roofing men and stealing from them when she was a stripper, then I can vote for Donald Trump, a convicted felon. If the left can slap Hillary Clinton on the wrist for making up lies about Trump and Russia colluding, then I can vote for Donald Trump, the convicted felon. If E. Jean Carroll can go around saying grape is sexy, then I can vote for Donald Trump, the convicted felon.
I gotta love the way this woman is approaching this, just ticking off one thing after another. And each item that she cites, each action item that she cites, is another Democrat Party BS ploy that is phony and corrupt and dishonest, a big lie, and she just ticks them off. It's not like there are one or two of them. The list is long.
If Joe Biden can forgive student loans, even when the Supreme Court says he can't, then I can vote for Donald Trump, the convicted felon. If Hunter Biden can bring cocaine to the Capitol and get away with it, then I can vote for Donald Trump, the convicted felon. If Biden, Obama, and Clinton can illegally spy on Trump, then I can vote for Donald Trump, the convicted felon.
I think she's onto something here. She's making extremely strong points and making the points very well. And this is something that our corrupt news media will never do, of course.
If the left can suppress Hunter's laptop and Ashley's diary, then I can vote for Donald Trump, the convicted felon. You see, the left thought that convicting Trump and making everyone say convicted felon repeatedly would damage his reputation. All they did was unite us even more and show us just how far they were willing to go to win.
I got to tell you, she just nails it all over the place, smacks it out of the park. Couldn't be stronger, couldn't be better. And it looks like she's just doing this from memory. She doesn't appear to be reading cue cards like Joe Biden. She is riffing, and she has had enough. She's had it up to here. I'm holding my head flat across the center of my forehead. Up to here, I tell you. She's had it up to her eyeballs. And she's great and wonderful, and the way she ticks the stuff off is just, she should get an award of some kind.
I truly believe the Democrats will stop at nothing to ensure Trump is not the 47th president. Nothing is beneath them at this point. So yes, although Trump is a convicted felon now, he will still get my vote. I don't care if I have to write Trump's name on the ballot. America needs to be fixed, no matter what it takes. We need to make sure this election is too big to rig. I can't say it enough. Get out and vote. Take your neighbors with you. Vote. Trump 2024, baby. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. Love she caps it off with "Let's go, Brandon." I want to hang out with her. She is just great, wonderful. We need more like her. She should become, the video is making the rounds in Citizen Free Press, posting it is great. It should become a 10 million hit video. And honestly, it's way past time that African-American voters in the United States woke up to what has been happening here. I've been talking about it for a long, long time. And I'm happy to see, from 50 Cent to this nice woman, I'm happy to see people, too, our listeners and our callers. And honestly, we, talked to Pam earlier today, talked to Broken Horn today, Native American out of Oregon, wonderful stuff. I think I found his website, too. But never mind that. Let's go to soundbite number 12. Number 12. This is a radical Democrat extremist, anti-American, Jared Moskowitz, typical left-wing Democrat, radical. And he's attacking the Wall Street Journal, or mocking the Wall Street Journal, for doing a piece explaining that Joe Biden is not up to the task of being president of the United States, that Democrats go meet with him at the White House. They come out of the meeting and they say, "Did anybody hear what he said?" Because he was mumbling the whole time and I couldn't hear him. And he's completely incoherent, and everybody knows it inside the White House, and the Democrats know it, and they spoke anonymously, naturally, to the Wall Street Journal, and now the left is upset. Oh, sure, anonymous sources. Yeah, you ever read a newspaper before? Remarkable stuff. Democrat Congressman Jared Moskowitz being petulant.
I want to congratulate the Wall Street Journal for cracking the cold case that Biden is old. Breaking news.
The cold case. Well, he's the cold case here, honestly. Amazing stuff. Oh, you figured out he's old. Well, you guys have been shouting down anybody that points out his frailties and his weaknesses, his many, many shortcomings. On MSDNC, and he posted this little, oh boy, you cracked the case. It's a cold case. You cracked it. Yeah. He's old. Yeah, that's, there are guys at Normandy today that are 104 years old that are much sharper than Joe Biden. It's not a mere function of the number. It has to do with much more than that. On MSDNC, they have a radical named Sig Heilemann. Sig Heilemann is there. And, that terrible Wall Street Journal. So now they're attacking the media for reporting what everybody has known for a long, long time, but they've been actively covering up.
I am sort of actually embarrassed for the Wall Street Journal with this piece. This piece is so tilted, so off the mark. Is he 81 years old? Yes. Is he a bit slower in terms of his reactions to some things? Probably.
I have a correction to make. That's not Sig Heilemann. That's Mike Barnacle. Mike Barnacle. You can scrape the barnacles off his hull. But it's still MSDNC and Morning Joke and the gang there with the usual suspects, the Circle Fest. CNN has a woman named Nia Malika Henderson, who somehow came up with the idea that President Trump gave an incoherent and rambling speech because they were talking about Joe Biden giving rambling and incoherent speeches. So now they're, I know you are, but what am I?
My response to the piece when I read it was, now do Donald Trump, right? And we saw some of this play out in public when he gave that very rambling, disjointed speech on Friday. He is not the person he used to be.
We are going to talk more about Donald Trump.
I bet you are. That didn't happen. Now, President Trump gives speeches extemporaneously for an hour and a half and 2 hours without notes, without teleprompter. And sometimes he's talking about one thing this minute and another thing the next minute. But that's just his riffing style. Joe Biden, on the other hand, well, that's another matter altogether, but they're all attacking the Wall Street Journal. NBC News, Democrat members of Congress, CNN, they're all attacking the Wall Street Journal. They went and did an interview with Joe Biden, discovered that he was often incoherent, disjointed, not paying attention, talked to Democrats who meet with him in the White House, and they say, boy, he is not there. And when a news outlet, the Wall Street Journal, publishes that, the news media gangs up on the news outlet because our news media is the most corrupt institution in America. So much crazy in so little time. CNN invited the neighbor of Samuel Alito and Mrs. Samuel Alito. They invited this woman on, and they wanted to ask her about calling Mrs. Alito the C word. And they smoothed it over because CNN is not a news organization anymore. It's just a horrible gang it's a house of ill repute filled with tramps and frauds and liars. Pretty amazing stuff. I don't have time to get to all that. Too many crazy things. Also, it turns out, 50 Cent made a lot of money off of rap and things. He was brought in to be the face and the voice of a vitamin water company that was then sold to Coca-Cola for about $4 billion. What a country this is. And 50 Cent apparently made $100 million off of the sale of the vitamin water company, because this is an amazing country. He came from very humble, very modest beginnings, and then vitamin water, $100 million to him. He didn't even invent it or anything. What a country. I wish I had more time to go to the calls. Wonderful callers on the line, D-Day, family history, and so on. But I run out the clock on myself every time. Also, the Ovarian Cancer Society in the UK, Ovarian Cancer Action, asks on Twitter, did you know that anyone with ovaries, regardless of gender identity, may be at risk for ovarian cancer? No, I didn't know that. Let's raise awareness by asking, can men get ovarian cancer? And I've given that, and then they put a rainbow flag. The answer is no.